Take the day off! Hi, I'm Benjamin Nichols, host of Business by the Book. Today we're going to be taking a look at why you should take a day off once a week. We're going to look at the benefits of doing this, the consequences of not taking a day off, what the Bible has to say about all this, and how this impacts your business. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you know when I have new content out. That will help your business. Ready to get started? Okay, let's go. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's a few reasons why I believe people work every day. They don't really take the time off that they need to on a regular basis. One of those reasons being money. I mean, it just kind of stands to reason. If you are working all the time, every day, week after week, hardly ever taking time off, that you should have more money, correct? So let's take a look at some examples where this isn't the case. Let's take a look at the Reichman family. The Reichman family is and was a real estate development company in Canada that was ranked 4th wealthiest family in the world in 2013. Now that's pretty monumental. Their company, Olympia in New York, made sure that they closed every Sabbath. They took that day and they closed their company. That did cost them money, of course, but I believe that in the long run, taking that day off really worked out well for them, as they were ranked 4th wealthiest family in 2013. Let's take another look at a company called Chick Fil A. Chick Fil A is a really neat company and has a really great culture. Their business model, they're a restaurant, they are closed one day a week as well. Now what's really interesting is that they're closed on a Sunday, and most restaurants do a lot of business on a Sunday. So let's say, well, I'm sure they're doing fine, they're a big franchise, they're doing all right, but how well are they doing really? So Chick Fil A makes more money per unit than McDonald's, Starbucks, and Subway combined. So even though they are closed one day a week and the other restaurants are open 7 days a week, they are still making more money than the three of those businesses combined. Now that's pretty spectacular in terms of what a company can do. The third example that I want to take a look at is somebody called Sam Walton, and I'm sure you all know who he is in the business community, the founder of Walmart. He was rated as the wealthiest man in America during the period of 1982 to 1988. Now that's saying quite a bit. So let's take a look at that myth again. If we take a day off once a week, we believe we're not going to make as much money if we take that day off. However, people in the uppermost echelons of income and business that are closing their businesses one day a week, that are taking one day off a week, and Sam Walton, he took one day off a week, or he took time off for certain because he was noted as a Sunday school teacher at his church. Now that's pretty crazy. So these three companies, these three examples show that it is possible to make a lot of money even though you're taking one day off a week. Another reason I believe that we're not taking a day off once a week is our ego. We love to be told that we're driven people, that we're going to be successful, that we're going to get what we want. You just have to have that drive, right? And drive is really important. You cannot achieve a level of success without determination, without passion, without commitment. The real problem, though, is when you start to just put all of that into one area of your life and you're lacking that balance. You develop a habit of not disconnecting. And if you don't disconnect from work, you don't have the opportunity to reconnect with the rest of your life. And that creates a lot of imbalance. And we need more than just our job and our career to really make it through this life successfully. If you look at life as a walk on a tightrope, you're trying to get from point A to point B. The person has this reckless abandonment, this consuming drive, would rush out, and they may take a few steps and then fall off. Like, yeah, they got somewhere. Wow, what a tremendous splash that was. If you're looking for a full life, you need to have some balance. And determination is great. Passion is needed. But truly, I believe balance is best. And having a day off once a week allows you to have that balance so that you can make it to where you really actually want to go to get to the other side. Okay, so another point, vacation time. Now, vacation time is not a day off once a week, but I believe that there's a lot of commonalities that transfer over from that mindset. And it becomes, a habitual pattern in your life of not taking that time off that you would start to develop, I believe, if you regularly said, I'm going to disconnect from work and reconnect with the rest of my life. So when we look at what's happening with vacation time, let's take a look at the States and Canada, because that's kind of where I'm at. I'm living in Canada and really close to the States. So the U.S. has now been called a no-vacation nation and is ranked at the bottom of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Now, these are incredibly wealthy countries. These are some of the wealthiest countries in the world. Saying Canada isn't doing much better. Canada's ranked number 3. So what kind of impact does that have on us? How does not having this time off impact our countries, our people? Well, the United States has been ranked by the World Health Organization as one of the most depressed countries on the planet. I guess so. I mean, if you don't have any time to enjoy the rest of your life and all you do is work away, where's the joy in that? I mean, aren't you driven? Aren't you fulfilled? And if you are that driven and fulfilled, why are you depressed? I mean, you should have that time off, right? No, let's be driven. I mean, being driven is great. It's important. As I mentioned, it's foundational for achieving success, but there needs to be balance. I looked at Canada as well. In 1985, on April 24th, something called the Lord's Day, of all things, if this is the real name, the Lord's Day Act was struck down. That meant that shops and businesses now were not legally required to close their business. Okay, so how did that impact our well-being? I mean, this is all about being better, having a richer, fuller life, isn't it? Right? So how did that impact people? Well, I took a look and did some more digging, and I found that if you look at this chart, that there's an exponential growth in cost of prescription drugs. How can that be? Aren't we doing better? Wasn't that the idea? I mean, so let's take a look at what's happened here. And vacation is kind of a bigger picture, but I think it ties into having that day off as a lifestyle, as a mindset, as a way to get yourself refocused and readjusted and become more productive. So you have less income, really, because if you're not taking those paid vacation times, you're working for less money, or you're working for free, if you want to put it that way. And who wants to work for free? This isn't about working for free. I'm in business, and I have a business of my own, to make more money, to be profitable. And that's a good thing, to be fruitful and productive. It talks about that in Genesis. We're also having less time. So if we're not making more money, we should have more time, right? There should be some correlation. There should be a trade. If you are giving up income, then you should have time. But here we're finding we're not having time for vacations. We're not having that our own time. We're giving that away. We're losing on what we actually should be making at our work, and we're sick. I mean, mental health is health. And if you're not well and you see prescription drug costs going up, we are really losing huge. We don't have time, we don't have the money, and we don't have our health. How does any of this make any sense at all? And what does the Bible have to say about this? Really, is it practical and productive for today? Let's take a look. Alright, so what does the Bible have to say about this? Alright, so we're going to start in the Old Testament and work towards the New Testament. So what does that mean for those of you who aren't familiar with the Bible? It's kind of like, well, let's start at the beginning and work our way to the end. Alright, so we'll start off with Exodus 20, verse 8. Okay, that's a section of the Bible in the Old Testament. It says, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Let's go on to Deuteronomy for the dudes, Deuteronomy 5:14. But the seventh day is a Sabbath day to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkeys, nor any of your animals, nor any of your foreigners residing in your towns, so that your male and female servants may rest as you do. Have a day off. Take a break. Right? All right, let's look at Exodus 16. Now, this is a huge chapter, and it says so much in it. And I'm not going to read through it because it's the whole chapter that you really should take a look at. Now, there'll be links below where you can just click on them if you don't have a Bible and go find this stuff online. But what it's really talking about here is that the Israelites are like, hey, look, we're hungry, we're in a desert, give us something to eat. You know, the great big wine fest, like, come on, God, where are you? Don't you care? And what's really important is that God meets all their needs. And he says, you know what, on the Sabbath day, the day before, you're going to collect twice as much. And if you hold on to that amount, you're going to have enough for the next day. But it also says in this passage that if you take more than you need, that it's going to rot. That the maggots come and they show up in the manna, and it's just really nasty and disgusting. And what is that really saying? To me, it was saying, you know what? Have some balance. Have some restraint. Have some discipline to say, this is enough for today, and I've got what I need. And this is not about being anti-progressive at all. This is about having some balance in your life and showing that if you don't have that balance, how what you thought is going to be helpful and productive and help you move ahead really becomes disgusting and destructive. So let's take a look at something else. I mean, this is going to be a question that is out there for sure. Does it have to be a Sunday? Right? Let's answer that question next. All right, so to answer the question, does it have to be a Sunday? I know some of you are going to agree with this response, and some of you aren't. The answer that I'm going to give you today is no, it does not have to be a Sunday. Let's just take a look at this. Your pastor, he works on a Sunday. Your reverend, your priest, they all work on a Sunday, right? Giving the message. And so did Jesus. Let's take a look at a couple of scriptures as to him working on a Sunday. Okay? And this is one of the reasons why the religious establishment got so mad at him. Let's take a look at a couple of scriptures. As I mentioned before, working from the beginning of the book, the Old Testament, through to the new part of the book, and this is now in the new part of the book, the New Testament. So let's take a look at Mark chapter 3, verse 1 to 6. Another time Jesus went into the synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. These would be the religious people. So they watched him closely to see if he would heal on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Stand up in front of everyone." Then Jesus asked them, "Which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save life or to kill?" But they remained silent. He looked around at them in anger and, deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts, said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. Then the Pharisees went out and began to plot with the Herodians how they might kill Jesus. Let's think about this. Healing, an act, is an effort, and it was performed on a Sabbath. So Jesus was working, so to speak, on a Sunday or a Sabbath. And that is what really upset the religious people. Let's look at another one. Let's look at Luke chapter 13, verses 10 through 17. As he was teaching in the synagogues on the Sabbath, and there was a woman who for 18 years had sickness caused by a spirit, and she had been bent double, and could not straighten up. When Jesus saw her, he called out to her and said, "Woman, you are freed from your sickness." And he laid his hands on her. Immediately she was made erect again and began glorifying God. But the synagogue official, indignant because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath, began saying to the crowd in response, "There are 6 days in which work should be done, so come during them and get healed, and not on the Sabbath day." But the Lord answered him and said, You hypocrites, do not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from his stall and lead them away to water? And this woman, a daughter of Abraham, is she whom Satan has bound for 18 long years? Should she not be released from this bond on the Sabbath day? And as he said this, all his opponents were being humiliated, and the entire crowd was rejoicing over the glorious thing that had been done by him, working again on the Sabbath. Right? Luke 14:5. As he said to them, which of you will have a son or an ox fall into a well and will not immediately pull him out on the Sabbath day? Mark 2:27. He, Jesus, said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Are we starting to see a pattern here? Okay. Romans 14:5, written by Paul. One person considers one day more sacred than another. Another considers every day alike. Each of them should be fully convinced in their own mind. All right, so what? So what's the point here? I started off talking about, hey, you need to have a day off once a week, right? And I am still committed to that. It's biblical. Does it have to be a Sunday? I'm going to leave that up to you. The important thing really here, though, is to understand that you need to have a day off. You need to have a day off to rest, to recharge, refocus, and then to reconnect with the rest of your life so that you can be productive and profitable the rest of your time at work. I hope this gives you something to think about. As business owners and managers and executives, you have the ability to impact your company, its expenses in terms of healthcare, in terms of absenteeism, in terms of profitability, in terms of competitiveness, and to impact your employees' lives. This is all biblical. Take a day off. It's good for you. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. And if you are interested in having me come out to speak at your church or your business group, or just you want to get together, let me know. Please send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Have an excellent day. This is Benjamin Nichols for Business by the Book.